Hey everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going to be Love is Blind. Habibi, I had to put on a little bling because Habibi is definitely about that bling. That's why the background, everything, Habibi changed the standard for Love is Blind International, but we understand why. These folks are from all across, the area. They mainly live in Dubai, but welcome, welcome. Come on in, say hello. Say hello to everyone. Let me know that you can certainly hear me. Hey Debbie. Um whew, I thought Habibi was going to be lackluster. I thought because hey, what we know of the region, the ladies have to dress demurely, they have to behave a certain way. The little I know of the culture is that the ladies are very restricted. The men can do what they want, but Love is Blind Habibi taught me so much. That's why I chose Habibi. Not only is it the highest viewed Love is Blind that I have to date, but it taught me a whole lot about the cultures. And what I love is so many of them are from different parts. We have folks from Morocco, from the Sudan. We have from all over the region. They taught me about Egyptian culture. They taught me so much here with Habibi. So I do appreciate you guys coming, for you guys hanging here with me. And let's get into it. I got to grab my notes because Habibi was so far ago. So far ago. But they kept the standard. They kept the standard of it being a host and hostess. They are married to each other. The host, and please forgive me if I pronunciate any of these names incorrectly. It is not by any means to be disrespectful. It just is that I'm unfamiliar, but I am trying. So the host is Ilham Ali. She is a famous actress in the region, and her husband is Khaled Sakir, or did they say Sak? I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but they were beautiful. They were wonderful to watch. They were wonderful to help us kind of navigate in this culture. And I have to say, her fashions were on point. It was very modest, but her fashion was everything, I have to say. So it's the same format. They spend 10 days dating folks in the pods. Um, you know, will we hear proposals? Because everything I know about the region and the culture is the families are very involved. The families have to give permission. So I was wondering, how is it that we're going to find proposals here? Is it that the cultures have just branched off? Have the cultures just evolved? How are we going to propose to people? Hey, Letitia, glad to have you here. How are we going to get proposals out of Habibi when families are so involved they even matchmake, you know, in their culture? But we did. We met a lot of couples, we met a lot of people, and they were very much, they taught me a heck of a lot. I have to say, a heck of a lot. Oh wow, y'all, my download did not download how it was supposed to be downloading. So it did not give me the screens that I needed to have this done. It did not give me the transparent screens. So I'm going to try something real quick to get this done for y'all and see if it can be done how it's supposed to be done. I don't know why they did not download how they were supposed to. But good thing I caught it. Good thing I caught it. So we can get this totally done how it's supposed to be done. So what we did learn is that we have folks from all different regions, all different regions. It was great to watch and great to learn the cultures, even though they all live in Dubai. The cultures were very captivating. The cultures were very, how can I say it? They totally made me learn a heck of a lot. They made me learn a heck of a lot. And I was like, this has got to be something very, very interesting. Very, very much so. So let me try and extract all of this as it's supposed to be and see if I can't get it to where we need it to be. I am so sorry, y'all, but we shall see what's going on. You know, technology always gives us a heck of a lot. But let me know if you have thoughts about Habibi. What have you seen? What did you have questions about? Maybe I can answer those once everything gets started. And let me pull up all these overlays and hope it works out this time. Yep, it seems to be pulling up as it should. So let me start with a cute couple that I did like. A cute couple that I did like. Or should we start with a controversial couple? Should we start with a controversial couple? Let me know your thoughts. I liked okay, let's start with the cutesy couple. But the cutesy couple will lead us to the next one. Let's start here. Okay, let me change my layout. Okay. Let's start with Asma and Hitab. Now I kept their pictures how they are. I want to be respectful. I didn't want to move their pictures too close to each other. I'm aware of the culture and aesthetics. So Asma and Hitab, they had wonderful conversations in the pods. I really enjoyed how they kind of went along with their dates. Okay. Hitab, as you can see, he's very heavy set in these pictures. Okay, he's very heavy set in these pictures. This is not how Hitab looks right now. Hitab is he has, how can I say it? He's fallen into his full DJ life. Now he has other things going for him. He is an architect, a music producer. He is 32. He is dating, as I said, Asma. They eventually did, he proposed to her. And let's just say that it didn't go too well. Okay? And let's just say it didn't go too well. Okay? She says she wants a man that takes care of himself, to be athletic, to be into sports. He said he's had a change in his life, and the last 2 years has made him different. And I think he's trying to tell her he's gotten overweight. So he was understanding to her. He was, everything. And I was like, girl, I'm going to be shocked if you like this man. So she does hesitate to hug him. They go sit down. She covers her face. She barely looks at him, y'all. He kisses her hand. He looks like he's enamored of her. And she looks scared out of her mind. He does not give her a ring, but gives her his handkerchief. Now, this is where the cultural difference is understood. He wants to meet with her family, get permission before he proposes with a ring and everything. Totally understood. He basically proposed what his intentions are. Now, y'all, that was as wonderful as it got, because she decided this was not for her. She decided this was not for her. And we didn't see them, hide nor hear of them when they went. She said she doesn't know. She doesn't know. But you do know. You just didn't want to say it on camera. So y'all, they went their separate ways until later on at the honeymoons. The host revealed when all the couples were decided that Asma was unsure and decided to take it slow and not continue the experience. And I'm like, just say no to the man. Just say no. But y'all, later on, they do come back. They do come back some episodes later. And I was like, why? Why are we here? Did they ask y'all to be here just so we would have couples to talk about? I just didn't like that. I did not like that at all. I was like, let the girl go. Let her, she didn't like what she saw with Hitab. Now, Hitab, his personality is wonderful. I really liked Hitab. Hitab, even though he may look a little heavy set here, he had a wonderful personality. He was very respectful, very understanding. His tone was awesome. I really liked Hitab, but I'm not sure Asma could have seen past what he looked like. But hey, he's an architect. None of these. This is the other reason with Love Is Blind Habibi. None of these folks are going to be in struggle love. Okay, Hitab is an architect. Hitab is DJing also. He's doing, he says, all different kinds of hours. My problem, Hitab, is what do you have for a bride as far as time? What do you have for a wife and family as far as time? You have your architectural business and you have your DJing at nights. And now it seems like you've fallen further into your DJing, very successful. You have high-end brands that you are now the brand ambassador for, very successful. But where's the time for a relationship, Itab? So they decided not to get married. They went all the way to the altar. They decided not to get married. I knew they weren't going to get married. Her family was in. Hey, Samantha, welcome on in. Her family was mainly in Canada, and she was wondering if the family was going to make it for the wedding. The family was not there. And I figured since the family was not there was no way she would say yes. So I thought it was a whole build up to let us down when I clearly knew her family table was empty. There was no way she was going to accept his proposal. He had not met them. There's no way culturally that wedding was going to happen. So while I like them and I like Hitab and I like Asma, they didn't work out. Apparently, they dated after the show for a little bit, but again, it just didn't work out. I don't think he had the time. She's also, I believe, her job was a fitness instructor, but she was very much into fitness, and I don't think their lifestyles, especially with his sleep pattern, would ever, you know, work out. I really don't think so. I really, really don't think it would have worked out with Ozma. But, I really liked Hitab. There was nothing, overly red flags with Hitab or with Ozma. It's just their life, their family, how everything needed to come together so quickly. It wasn't going to happen with them. Not at all. So, but she was my first, I should say, I think she was my first when I was doing all of this, my first runaway fiance, where she got, the proposal. And then after the reveal, she's like, no, this ain't for me. I ain't going to be seen with you. And then she came back. So my first runaway fiance that also came back. So that was Ozma. But I really, really liked them. And when we talk about, I'll go further and talk about the um, bachelor and bachelorette nights. I learned a lot about their culture those evenings for both groups, men and women. Next up would be for me would be Karma and Amar. Now, I really like Karma. Karma was my fashion lady. Every time I saw Karma, Karma always had a fan, a beautiful fan to match. So all this fan challenge and all this fan stuff going around here in the US and US social media, Karma was doing this way before. Karma always had a fan. Now, granted, it's probably hot. It's probably hot. But she always had a fan. And I have to say, I think it's at the reunion, she had a gold fan. Whatever the gold fan was, Karma girl. And I said that in my recap. Karma, I need to know where that gold fan is because that fan was fire. It still is fire. Karma was my fashion girl. I mean, all of them had fashion, but Karma was my type of appeal. Karma loved the arts. She loved dancing. She expresses herself through movement. And Amar is a dentist. Now, he's a very successful dentist, apparently, but you know what? I'm not going to hold that, against him. So he gives her a card, tells her his feelings. He said he got jealous when she said she sang for someone. Okay? And he said he'll throw a dumbbell at a wall if she's saying for someone else. And I'm like, Amar, you can't keep the woman hidden and closed off. You can't do that to her. She's artsy. Yes, ma'am. The fan was fanning. Girl, yes, Samantha. Every scene, Karma had a fan and it was fanning. So Amar is more of a traditional man in a sense. Again, they come from different parts of the region. And he was very traditional. He said, yeah, I propose to you. I want you. I want to be with you. But you can't be doing that dancing. I can't be having you dancing for people, performing for people, and men looking at you and observing you. So Karma's like, hey, this is me. This is my art. I want to be able to express myself and not feel it's being hindered by a husband. Now, Amar's, how can I say it? Hypocrisy is the word. Is that if you watch the vacation, because again, they go to vacation after proposals, they do have where men are on one side and women are on another side. This is a vacation spot which does accommodate for singles in their culture where they cannot cohabitate. That was another culture shock for me with Love is Blind. It kept up with the culture. You cannot cohabitate with someone who is not your spouse. So there are resorts out there in their region where men and women are housed separately. So they were housed, all of them were housed separately. And I thought it was very nice, very cutesy. They ate meals together, they had the couples things together, but they were residing on the resort separately. So Amar in the morning, okay, would go swimming in the ocean and he would come out in his Speedos in front of the camera, all wet, doing the whole kind of GQ thirst trap videos, okay? Washing his hair and shaking his hair out with all of his body showing. Yet here he is telling Karma he doesn't like her dancing. And we're not talking revealing belly dancing, okay? Karma, every time I saw her dancing and they showed us her dancing, she is fully covered. Now, whether that's for the show or not, I don't know. But she was fully covered, okay? Nothing too tight, nothing revealing. Yet here Amar is in his Speedo showing off all for everyone on camera. And Karma did tell him that. She did tell him, hey, I wasn't the one out here unclothed on camera. So you telling me about myself is refreshing. So Karma really, got, how can I say it, her gumption at the reunion. But we will talk about the reunion last, okay? But when he proposed, she did say yes, okay? She did say yes. They went on, the vacation. They came back, but she said our lives aren't, living, and I need to be able to dance. So during the show, they broke up. During the show, but he made it seem like I can't have a wife that's going to be dancing all over. And she basically was there to break up with him as well, saying, hey, I cannot have a husband that would not allow me to express myself through the arts. So they did break up during the show in a coffee shop. Maybe this is why some women don't like coffee shop dates, okay? Maybe. But I liked Karma. She taught me a lot during the bachelorette nights for the ladies about her culture. All of them did. All of them. So next up, I'm going to talk about, because we're going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about the bachelorette nights, and then we're going to talk about the reunion. Okay. Next up, let's talk about. See, one is going to lead to the other. Let's talk about Noor and Mito. Now, Noor, let me be nice and favorable to Noor. Noor was edited to us for us to see her as a Kardashian villain. Okay? Let me put it that way. The way Noor was given to us, she was a Kardashian villain. Noor's used to a certain lifestyle, certain amount of labels. She's used to certain, how can I say, elevation in life. She's used to being pampered by her dad and by, her family. She doesn't have to, how can I say, she doesn't have to want for much. Okay? If you all could read between the lines. Now, Noor has a very gentle tone. She does not need to raise her voice. You need to just listen to what she has to say because she's going to say it quite gently. You heard that tone? That's how we were given Noor. Now, Noor was dating someone else and that kind of fell through. and she picked up on Mito. But she said she made her decision before talking to him, and she made him feel like number one. And yeah, yeah. I forgot who was she did. I forgot who she was dating, but Mito thought that she was being untruthful to him. Okay, he thought so, but Mito was dating Asma, and then he felt he couldn't trust girls after Asma, turned him down. So yes, he did go to Noor. And Noor, once she heard Mito and Mito's, how can I say it? Mito has a good game. Mito talked. He's a real estate, okay? He's a high energy. He makes all the ladies laugh. He's good fun. He wants to enjoy living and growing together. And everybody talked about how jovial Mito was. Mito was not jovial at the reunion, y'all. So they go to the resort. He proposes, she accepts, and I don't think at the reveal that Noor liked Mito much at all. Um, I I can say he is not the handsomest of men, okay? Not to me, but I felt Noor felt the same. Let's put it that way. He's not a bad looking man, but he's certainly not who I would have want to see the doors to reveal, okay? Let's just put it that way. So when they went to the resort, of course, everybody's residing separately. They would meet for meals. She would hardly eat. And he's like, why don't you eat? Eat something. And she's like, no, I don't feel like it. But she just didn't want to eat around him or with him. It felt like I'm just here to hang out with the ladies and you are just an unnecessary accessory. That's how I felt she was handling herself with Mito. But child, Mito got upset. And while on the honeymoon, he broke it off. Okay? While on the honeymoon, he broke it off. He thought that she was arrogant. He thought that she was spoiled. And I got to say, whew, he said he had done a date for her and she just didn't feel like she appreciated all that he was trying to do for her. But when they sat down on the reveal sitting far apart, I really thought she didn't like him at all. I really felt for Mito. I really felt that she was not feeling him, but I'm not sure they totally understood it. While he had said he didn't want to be with her, he broke up with her. She told the couples before everybody left, and he went to meet up with the guys the next day. So she got a chance to say her side to both parties, and the men were kind of like on her about, girl, Mito's a good guy. Maybe you have a problem. And she didn't quite like the men talking to her like that, but she came there to talk to the ladies. But Mito went and talked to the fellas the next day at the pool and told them, hey, I'm leaving. I can't do this. He didn't really talk really badly about her, but at the reunion, y'all, Mito let her have it. And no one was comfortable with that. No one was. But the men really were, rallying for Mito, but it did feel like they were ganging up on Noir, and she handled herself at the reunion, y'all. She did. Noir. I completely changed my mind about Noir at the reunion, and that was the first time I really put my finger on. Daggone it! You showing me a certain part of this person for me to have a certain feeling about them throughout the season, but then here's the reunion, and now I got to do a 180 because this person was edited a certain way, and that was Noir for me because she was like she let him have it. We'll get to the reunion. We'll get to the reunion. So cutesy couple I liked. Dunya and Shafiq. These were the young people. I hate to say it like that, but these were the young people of Love is Blind Habibi, and they brought the jovial nature to a point. Okay, so Dunya is 24. She's a content creator. And Shafiq is 27. The only thing I didn't like is that he had them dangling earrings. Y'all know how I feel about dangling earrings. But hey. But she says she gets bored real fast, and I'm like, girl, everything about life can't be exciting. But they both speak French way better than they speak Arabic. And, Shafiq did something which told us that the walls, the pod walls in Love is Blind, they are thin. At one point, Shafiq knew Donia was it for him, and he started yelling from the men's lounge, Dunya, I love you. And she yelled back for him, I love you too. That was interesting. That was cutesy, but I was like, y'all, it ain't even been 10 days yet. Okay. And what I didn't like in the men's lounge is the men would claim women. And when they claim a woman, the other man would respectfully step away. That is their culture. If that is your woman, I'm going to be respectful and pull back. That's what I didn't like about it. But people found their person regardless. But I wonder if people wouldn't have had more of a chance. I wonder if Karma had a dude like that. A dude was interested in Karma. And let me remind you, now remember, a dude was interested in Karma. And Amar said, that's my woman. And he pumped the brakes. I didn't like that. The ladies have their own journey too. But let's get back to Dunya and Shafiq. Um, Shafiq, very interesting, very energetic. It felt controlling at times, but I understand he's trying to work within the barriers of his culture, but still allow Dunya to be her online creative self. She is a content creator. She has a huge following on Instagram. She shows you all parts of her life. And I have to say, Dunya was wearing she's from Morocco, and she was wearing some Moroccan an outfit, and I forgot to write the name down. And I was like, I will take that in every color because it looked so. It was like a hoodie dress. It was long. It looked cool and chill, but it was still falling in line with their culture. I said, Dunya, I'm gonna take one of that in every color, and I'm gonna rock that all summer because that was an awesome outfit, and he just appreciated it because she was, covered up. When she's with him, though, she will wear, a crop top or whatever. When she's with him, she was always very respectful. Now, another couple, the male side of that other couple, had an issue with Shafiq. And I think he wanted Dunya. Okay. I think that other groom wanted Dunya for himself. And because of that, he kind of tried to put a wedge in there. You see, Shafiq knew or was following Noor on Instagram. Okay. Shafiq was following Noor, and he said, yeah, whatever. He tried to, go in her DMs and say she looked beautiful, and she didn't give him any play, and they left it at that. Okay. Noor said, oh yeah, Shafiq is, a child, or he's beneath her. And he took it like, okay, yeah, whatever. It didn't work out. I'm with Donya now. Now, this other groom, he is from Morocco. We're going to get to that couple next. He is from Morocco. And I think he wanted the girl next door that Dunya is. And she's very, very polite, very respectful, very much into her culture and, Moroccan culture. And she is what I can see modernization of that culture. And it's still fitting in the modern world. Now, what really got to me with Dunya is from a divorced family. And I really didn't think we would hit that topic in Love is Blind Habibi, but I appreciated it. So it's Dunya, her sister, and her mom. The dad divorced her mom, and she and her sister were raised by the mom. They struggled. They did. They struggled as three women in this culture, and they do live in Dubai. She lives with her mother. She told Shafiq that, like, listen, my mother and I are a package deal. I take care of my mom. I am with my mom all the time. And that is another part of their culture because basically the mother is technically her chaperone and she is the mother's caretaker. So she's telling him, yeah, my mom and I are attached to the hip. Shafiq, on the other hand, is like, hey, I'm marrying you, not your mama. I'm marrying you, not your mama. And I was kind of like, Dunya, you got to pull those apron strings away a bit. You've got to live your life. You got to have your marriage. But then I'm thinking as a Westerner, I'm not thinking of someone in Dunya's culture where you do take care of your parents. You do take care of them, even if you have a marriage, everything. Her mother will come live with her, everything. Shafiq's mother, his dad, and his grandparents did help him come to understand that Dunya and her mom are a package deal. And I like how Shafiq changed and transitioned and like, okay, we'll take care of your mama, but we need to have our time. We need to have our time together. Now, they made it all the way to the wedding day and they decided not to get married. Okay? They decided they will stay together but not be married. Both families were there. Her mom was there, his family was there, but they decided not to. But they decided that ahead of time. So they took us through the wedding and then they gave us a flashback of they were on the phone with each other before the wedding. And they talked about it and they said, hey, this is too much of a rush. Let us just date each other after this experience. They both agreed to it. They went through the whole ceremony process and they said no. And they announced to everyone they're going to continue to date. They walked out, sat down, and they had a good talk. To this day, they are still dating. I checked everybody's social media before I came for this live. They're still together. They are still dating. They are still traveling. They're doing very much cutesy videos together. Very much the couple. Still taking care of her mom, it seems. And I think I like that they're taking their own sweet time. Now, Shafiq, my issue won your temper, but it's never directed totally at her. It's in the moment to somebody else. She's trying to calm you down, yet you don't allow her to soothe you. But also, Shafiq, when she came to visit you in your wonderful apartment in Dubai, you had the fast food wrapper and the empty drink. It wasn't completely put together. I was like, she's coming. The camera crew is already there. Was it staged or is this really you? Is it staged or is it really you? But I'm guessing she could visit him at his apartment. Again, it had to be in the daytime, but because I guess the camera crew was there, she was being chaperoned in a unique way. Okay. But they had bumps, uphill battles, and stuff like that, meaning, how to navigate with the culture, the need she has for her family, the need he has to, for his family. And also, Shafiq was, you know, he's also what I think the modernization of their culture is becoming. So it still had the culture aspect, but still could be modernized. They went and visited his grandparents, everybody. And they all told them, gave them the advice of make your marriage your own, and keep, respectful of each other and your culture. So the groom they had an issue with. Good for them, Samantha says. Better to not be pressured into a lifetime choice. Yes, it was good for them. They were one of the few that walked away and still together to this day. I really enjoyed for them. They're my cutesy couple. I was really rooting for them. But again, as I said when I began all of this, it is very interesting for me for folks of that region to really embrace this love is blind thing of 10 days proposal and then wedding real quick, especially with the families not being involved. I just thought it would not happen. But the groom that Shafiq had an issue with was Simo. Now here we have Hajar and Simo. Now, y'all, I have to warn you, when you first meet Simo, you think, oh, he's just, you know, um, tall, dark, and handsome. Okay. But Simo quickly became our villain. Simo quickly became our villain. Okay. So he was dating, as you see, Hajar. And while they were in the pods, he had, very much, it was giving me arrogant. Okay. It was giving me arrogant, but I cannot speak for her. But at a certain point, I thought, Hajar, I thought she would just wanted to be here, to have a groom, to be part of this. Okay. So one of the things that Simo liked about Hajar, which I didn't think he would, Simo was also dating a girl called Yasmin. He had given her 2 dozen roses for her birthday. He said this is nothing, but it turned out to be a big deal for Yasmin. And if you see, Yasmin is a beautiful girl, cutesy though, like Donya. And he asked, like, what is your most precious memory in life? And it was just Simo would say some stuff. Well, Hajar went and gave Simo a flower and sprayed it with her perfume. Okay. She stole that flower out of the bouquet from Yasmin. And Simo, was Simo told her, I gave Yasmin that 2 dozen roses. She was shocked. Hajar thought that was the end. She was like, oh my gosh, I stole from the bouquet that he gave another girl and gave it to him. She said, this is embarrassing. He said, what does this mean? And if we think about this, what does this mean? It's like, I think we have won. What? And he thought that because he was the only guy that Hajar made a move on. He was the only guy she actually sent something to. But it turns out it was a stolen flower. Yet he was fine with it because, like, oh, you making a move on me. And you took it. And even though it was a flower that I sent another girl, I could appreciate the gangster. That's what I thought of. I'm like, Simo, you're liking toxic. It's screaming, Simo, that you like toxic. Okay. So she was like, yeah, this is embarrassing. I know you probably don't want to see me anymore, but he was like, oh no, we could continue because I think he likes a little bit of bite. Not literal bite, but mm, yeah. So he sends her a balloon gift with a note. He said he loves that she gushes all over the gift that he gave her. He needs adoration, y'all. Simo wants to be how can I say it? He wants to be top dog in your mind, in your life. He wants the adoration. Okay. And he says she always made him feel comfortable. And, they talk about their, okay, we're going to get married. What if we don't do this love is blind thing? Okay. What if we don't do this? What does your bachelor party look like? He said, hey, he wants to go to Miami. And she's like, yeah, she'll go, but she wants to try cake before she has a strict diet. Now, y'all, in my recap, I was like, what? Why does she want to try cake? Is the diet really strict? He said her wanting to try cake before a strict diet doesn't work for him, and that's very low level. Okay. You didn't do anything that I didn't like until now. Okay. I was like, Simo, really? She wants to try cake. She apologized, y'all. She tried to apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He shut it down. He said, yeah, there's nothing beautiful to tell her now. Okay. She ends it with a nice note and thank you for her gifts and walked out and thought that this was the end of her and Simo. And I was like, low level. Well, I'm real low level. If trying different cakes before a strict diet is low level, Simo, then I'm real low level. But some folks in the comments from that culture said the cake could be a metaphor for something else because of his reaction and because it's an edited show. It could have been basically stating, I want to try things that I cannot try after I'm tied down to marriage. It can mean anything from food to being other experiences with other people or another person. That's what was left in my comments. I don't know. I don't know Hajar. I don't know Simo. I don't know. But it could stand to reason since he blew up about it, call her low class and all of that. It could be it's more than just cake. It could be, but I really don't know. But Simo, when everybody revealed and everybody met each other at the location for the couples mixer, he looked like he had his eyes on Donya. Because Hajar was also like Khloe Kardashian. Okay. She and Hajar and Noor were very close. I don't know if they were friends outside of this, but they were close. So while Noor may be Kim, I could see Hajar being Khloe. Okay. And Simo, though he liked the aesthetic because he dresses well, he believes in dressing well. He believes in his labels and dressing up. He looked at her and saw she was aesthetically pleasing as far as wearing the labels and them looking like a power couple. But he preferred Dunya and more the girl next door look, I think, or personality. So he was the one, he went up to Dunya, sat, far enough away from her, but at a table, and was telling her that Shafiq and Noor knew each other from Instagram. He was feeding all kinds of stuff into Dunya's mind. Shafiq came over and heard it. It's like, what are you talking to my woman like that for? What are you doing? Why are you in my business? So Shafiq and Simo almost came to physical altercation, y'all. They were nearly physical with each other. And Simo was taken out. The men dragged him out. Dunya took Shafiq over to the beach for him to kind of let it out and talk. But Simo was pissed. The men too were pissed at Simo. It's like, dude, you don't go sabotaging someone's relationship. You don't go do that. But Simo decided he was very, very mad. Hajar and all the ladies, while this is going on, y'all, all the ladies were sitting at the table watching it because, again, culturally, we're not getting involved in men's business. We're not getting involved. They fighting, they carrying on over there. We're going to sit down over here and wait for it to blow over. We're not getting involved. So while all the women were sitting there, Simo did not appreciate that. He thought his woman, Hajar, should have had his back. So when he was taken away and taken out of the reception, he felt she should have come with him. And she's like, no, you had an issue with Shafiq. Y'all had a fight. I came and brought you a drink after or came and talked to you after, but I don't need to get involved while you're involved. Hajar did tell Simo in the pods that, hey, I can't, I have a fear of abandonment, of being just left and not say anything. So please, please, I have a fear of abandonment and being left. Well, what does Simo do after this? And he's mad. He packed up and left the hotel and left. He didn't tell her anything. She, meanwhile, is taping her confessional on the balcony and talking to the camera people, and they're like, hey, Hajar, we have to tell you, Simo is not coming for breakfast. He's left. She's like, left where? They're like, he's left the premises and left the show. You could see Hajar's face just cave. She was being triggered. I felt so bad for her. And I said, Simo, you are so awful. This girl told you her fear, and yet you still did it. You wanted to maximize your hurt. And she was hurting too. Come on now. That's not the way. You told her in the past that before you get mad and leave, we'll have a conversation. Well, apparently that didn't happen, Simo. That didn't happen because she was devastated. I felt for her. Now, Hajar had got her issues. She wants, you to be able to pay for everything. She has a certain lifestyle. She did state, her man has to, fund her life. But again, I don't know why it was odd for Simo, because it very much seemed in line with their culture. I don't know why Simo was kind of like, well, I ain't going to be paying my hard-earned money right away. You want this woman to be your wife. You will be responsible for her fully. Fully. It just surprised me with Simo and how he was behaving. And some of the men to Mito too, with Noir, when you take this lady on to be your wife, you are fully financially responsible for her. So why is it you giving the thought like they're after you for your money? No, because I'm sure apart from Love is Blind, they could have probably married wealthy men at any time before this. Their family could have possibly arranged it. Again, I don't know their families. I don't know everything about these folks. But I know at the reunion, Noir did say that, she could have had a marriage before this. So Simo was our villain. Simo decided to leave, not tell Hajar, and he totally traumatized that young lady. I really felt for her. I really felt, even though, I really didn't like, she was a little mean girl at times in those pods, I still felt that was a little too much, way, way too much. So let me get to my favorite couple. Safa and Muhammad. Y'all, Safa and Muhammad had me holding my breath. Y'all, I really, Safa is my favorite, and Muhammad by default. Not by default, let me not say that. To give them categories, I really like Safa, and then I really like Muhammad. Completely separately, we saw them, we met them, and I really, really fell for both of them. I was sitting on the edge of my seat every time they came on my screen because I was hoping they would be together. Now, Safa is a finance manager. Okay. She is 37. And Muhammad, I forgot Muhammad's, his demographic, but for many of the men at her age of 37, they felt Safa was older for them. I don't know why, but she's 37, and as I said before, Dunya is 24, so she's probably higher up in age with the woman. But Safa is, as you see, a gorgeous woman. Oh my word. Um, he was not happy that she had another connection. When she told him it was another connection, a man called Kareem, but he was younger than her and he'd never dated an older woman, so they kind of like had good conversation. But he said he's a little jealous, but he knows how to behave. He knows how to deal with any anger, and he said, hey, she melts his heart. She just melts his heart. And in the men's lounge, he said he wanted to say that he would be better than Kareem, but I think Muhammad understood the assignment and he didn't want to mess up. He's like, hey, I'm gonna claim my woman on my own. He didn't say that, but that's how I took it. So they had a wonderful romance. He did express that he liked her at every turn. Every day he wants to talk more and more with her. And he brought her to tears, said her tears were precious. And, by the episode 2, he said he loved her. And their reveal was amazing. Amazing. He sent her flowers. He asked about who she was as a child when they were dating. But their reveal really, oh, it warmed my heart. It really did. It warmed my heart. I really love them together. I love the entire dating. Even when they got out of the pods, I really, really enjoyed watching Safa and Muhammad and their romance together. They had wonderful dates on the vacation. Absolutely amazing date on the vacation. He had a barbecue on the beach at sunset, and they did have a challenge. She says she leaves every Sunday and comes back every Wednesday or Thursday. And because she's a project manager, I told you guys, she said she has to do this for the next 3 years. And they talked about it because that would be a big change for you to marry someone and every Sunday to Wednesday, they're gone from you or they're gone away. And she has to travel. She has to fly wherever she's going. So he asked her, can she change to a different project? Can she work for a different company? How exhausted are you going to be to settle down? And she said, hey, she loves her job. They need to find a solution to it, but she really loves her job. And Muhammad was like, I do not want to interfere with your work. I was like, Muhammad, thank you. I was wondering if we were going to find one of the men in the group that was going to be understanding of what the woman needs and wants. I was worried. But Muhammad is the gentle giant of the group. He was like, hey, we're going to work this out. We're going to make it work every single day. Muhammad also was the peacemaker. He was also the one keeping Simo back, holding him back. He actually asked for help for holding Simo back in the whole thing when Simo was acting up. But their beach picnic is one of my favorites. It was absolutely amazing. They did go all the way to the altar, but even before the altar, I have to tell you something that they gave me everything I wanted out of this process. So Safa, her father passed away years ago, and her brother is the head of the family. The brother and his family lives in Canada, though Safa, I believe, lives in Dubai, same as Muhammad. I believe, don't quote me. So Safa had to talk to her brother, and they had to come to an understanding and arrangement. What I appreciated when it came time to talk about the marriage and the blending of the family, Muhammad came to where the family was residing, or I think Safa's house, I'm not sure. He came with his dad. Now, if y'all have anything else to watch in this, there are several instances One, the ladies' night, the men's night before the wedding, but the Safa and Muhammad, the coming together of the families, absolutely moving. I'm still getting goosebumps right now. Absolutely moving. So while Muhammad came to the door with his dad, they sat with the brother. The woman sat in the gardens. And I was like, do we ever get to see this? And some families say yes, sometimes the women are in the room, sometimes they're not. But Muhammad's father talks to the brother and says, I have come to present my son Muhammad as, a husband to your Safa, to your sister Safa. And they talk, and the brother is, holding his own as the, male head of the family. And we don't see everything. Of course, I don't expect us to see everything, but we saw a ton. So he goes and they talk about the family, they talk about the family dynamic. And I gotta find it because I made a lot of notes where Safa and Muhammad's family. Okay. Here's my thing. I thought it was interesting that Muhammad and the father brought no gifts. And I thought you had to bring a gift, but I was told you sometimes bring a gift and sometimes the gift is discussed at this time. But the brother does tell Safa there are no red flags. The men talk, but they also prayed at the end of their talk. They prayed, they cut away to the women, and the women were talking. And the brother tells Safa there are no red flags for now, and he does like Muhammad a lot. The brother liked that Muhammad, even in the midst of this process, still was respectful of their culture. And I like that the brother and his wife, and the brother has, I believe, a daughter. They all came quickly from Canada to help fulfill this. Everybody is needed. It takes a village. It takes a village. The brother does tell Safa he is happy for her. It seems like Muhammad is honest and he is ready for marriage, ready to start a family. And him bringing his dad to all of this really meant that he was, you know, part of the process and wanted his family to also respect that Safa is his chosen. So, the her mother does, ask about, the rest of his family and so forth. But that whole part, let me see, which episode was it? It is episode 7. Episode 7, where Muhammad comes with his dad to ask, for Safa's hand. So Safa does get to meet his dad that night, and then later on, at the end of it, he gives her the gift of a necklace, which was his mother's. Um, her rings are on the right hand. And I just learned a lot from this. I learned a lot about this interaction. And I was told in my comments for episode 7 that this is how it goes. Once the family approves of it, they pray together. They then tell the woman what happened, what they agreed to, and it goes from there. Whew, it was wonderful. If you could ever watch that. Now they do go all the way to wedding. They go, and their weddings, they do ask them if love is blind, and then they are to go upstairs and speak in front of, oh gosh, a sheikh. I hope I'm saying it correctly. And they're to sign the wedding contracts up there. Now, Safa looks absolutely amazing. She didn't like any of the wedding dresses they had for her. She went and got her own. You go, girl, Safa. And she had to cover up herself in the presence of the sheikh. And the sheikh gave them great advice. He said, keep people out your marriage. This is your marriage. This is your promise to each other. Your family's there for support, but this is your marriage. Her brother signs it, then she signs it, and then of course Muhammad signs their marriage certificate. So it was the formality of exactly their marriage to be legal in the eyes of their region. Then they went downstairs. She's adorned with gold jewelry, and they just danced the night away. Safa and Muhammad are the only couple to get married in this Love is Blind, Habibi. The only couple. They are still married to this day, y'all. I'm so happy that they are still married to this day. But Safa is very cheeky. If you're following their Instagram, Safa is very cheeky. She posted a video. I was like, wait a minute, did she have a kid? She posted a video with a baby that said, "Oh, I just want my body back," you know, and then the next frame is, "Oh, the baby's telling her, you're my auntie. You could go get your body back. Get it together." So her brother, I believe, has another child, and so happy for them. They are wonderful together, Safa and Muhammad, absolutely wonderful together. So, y'all, I wanted to get to the traditions. The traditions. Because for me, the henna party. The henna party episode, what episode is this? The henna party episode 8. It was absolutely amazing. It was a beautiful desert location. Absolutely. You saw all of the ladies there. The mothers were there. So we know this is not going to be a westernized, dancers all over the place, okay? This is going to be demure and mindful. So Ozma is there with her sister, Safa with her mom and sister-in-law and a friend. And Safa's mom does ask Ozma, like, where's her ring? She said, no ring. Okay. At the time, Ozma was like, hey, we don't have a ring because he wants to do that in the presence of her family. Dunya and her mom do arrive. Beautiful. Y'all, Dunya in her traditional garb, absolutely amazing. She was wearing a white dress and it's Moroccan style and it was white and gold. And the mother said, this is what a traditional Moroccan at the henna party would be. Dunya's mom says for henna night, only the bride gets to wear green and anyone else wearing that color will be kicked out. I was like, girl, so you put together your color and anybody else who wears that really didn't want to stay. But Dunya says there are 7 dresses for the wedding in her Moroccan culture. And they discuss how each bride has their own, customs for the wedding. Safa, turns out, has the Iraqi style. Dunya is Moroccan and Asma is Saudi. I wish they gave a whole bunch more details, but Karma arrives in black and gold, and again, another fan. I have here in my notes, another fan. So the men do celebrate with a groom's bath, more like what we would call here a Turkish bath. Again, while we think that the women are restrained from what they can and cannot do, so are the men. Apparently, so are the men. The men only have men at their celebration. So they're basically having a spa day. The bath, the massages, they get their haircuts, they get groomed. They have a whole marching band basically come through, and it's all men in the band. No women are allowed. So while we're here, at least me, thinking that, oh, they get to have, girls or the belly dancers they say they can't have, they actually didn't. It's all men. And all the other men who, broke up with their ladies were there too. And I did learn from them that bagpipes do come from Egypt. I didn't know this before. I thought it was from a whole other region. They also do a dabki. Now, again, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this incorrect. It is a Levantine folk dance. It's popular among the Lebanese, Jordanian, Palestinian, and Syrian cultures. And it combines circle dance and line dancing and performed at weddings and joyous occasions where they kind of shake their shoulders a lot and then spin and dance. That's the dance the men were doing. So Hatab says that it takes about 3 hours for the haircuts and the whole grooming to happen. I'm like, daggone it. I thought we ladies take a long time at the beauty salon, but Hatab is telling us it takes them 3 hours. So Amar, who broke up with his girl, he's the one mainly climbing up on the chairs, dancing. And I'm like, here you are, Amar, dancing all kinds of ways, yet you didn't want your lady dancing. Okay, I see it. So the henna party, we learned a lot. This is through Safa. We learned a lot. about Safa's culture. And let me remind you, I just say Safa is more an Iraqi style. So she's given a foot bath by her mom. The mom says the water has jasmine, roses, and cardamom. You soak your feet to give her energy. It is done the day before the procession. She's given a mirror to see her face, so she will always look beautiful for her husband. They give her a Quran to hold, that is for her blessing, and then 7 white cups. They're like glass cups with white items in them. They put cardamom on her fingers so God can give her 6 kids. And I'm like, girl, I hope it ain't all 6. Safa said we should remove the cardamom. I was like, girl, I agreed with you. So they shake a white sheet above her head, and it's sugar on it. And that is to make her sweet in the eyes of her husband. She said there are many traditions and she doesn't know about them too much, but her mom wanted to do them all for her and she wanted to make the mom happy. I was amazed at seeing this. Ozma also said this tradition of Safa helped her see a bit of what Hitab's traditions were because Hitab has the same traditions as Safa. And they sing while Safa sits with her feet in the water and they carry on with her traditions and singing. Then Ozma got a belly dancer. She is fully covered. She has a waist belt with all the beads on it. Ozma said that in Egypt, this is how it's done, and it's to lighten the mood and the celebrations. That was a good glimpse into the wedding tradition that I was hoping I saw for all of them, but we definitely got to see it for Safa and her family there. Absolutely beautiful and amazing. Um, I was floored. I was absolutely floored by this. So let's get to it, the reunion. Everything was casual. As I said, the only couple to get married and still married are Safa and Muhammad. Only ones. Ozma does take, accountability for how she was, Hatabi and her type. And they dated for a little bit and they decided to get off the merry-go-round. Okay. So they did stay together for almost, sorry, Ozma and Hitab, no, Ozma and Hitab. They did stay together for almost 2 months. And when they returned to real life, they really couldn't hash it out with their different schedules. I was like, oh, okay, okay. But Hitab, as I tell y'all, he lost a lot of weight. Hitab is quite skinny, quite skinny. So Mito, let me put up his picture. Mito said he wanted to clarify a couple of mistakes he made. 2 of them. He said he didn't give Ozma a chance to clarify her stance, and he didn't give Ozma because he was dating Ozma at the time, and he thought that Ozma had played him in the pods, but he didn't give her a chance to talk. And his second mistake was ever giving Noor a chance. He says she's materialistic and talks about material things all the time. She is beautiful, but she has made herself into a product. I was like, dag Mito. That was hard. Now, Noor came back. Noor was my girl with the lines for the reunion. She said there's a difference between a cheap girl and one with standards. And she was pointing that to a Dunya. Dunya was up in arms about Noor. And I think on social media, Noor was saying all kinds of stuff about Dunya, saying that she takes the scraps that Shafiq gives her and she isn't this, she isn't that. And I think with the way it was done by Noor, I think would really hit home for Donia. Remember, Donia is from a divorced family. Her mother was the breadwinner, her mother was the everything. And Noor had her father, her uncles, she had her entire family there to help and support her. And I think while Noor is saying about cheap and standards, yes, there's something to that. But when you're talking about Donia, it's that you're also stating she did not have the support of her dad or a male relative in the family. So it hits both ways the way Noor came at Dunya. And I really didn't like it at all. So Shafiq says, that Shafiq says that Noor is looking for ATM, not a husband. And that was a sentiment most of the men said they got. But Noor came back and she said, hey, wait a minute. Don't talk about me like that. Noor lets them know that she's got degrees. She says, I have 2 degrees. I speak 3 languages. If you don't see beyond my looks, then you did not get the real Noor. She said she is a mix of beauty and brains, and she is respectful. Now, she never raised her voice, though Mito did. He kept interrupting Donia. Oh, he kept interrupting everyone, and he was like, at least Donia has a natural beauty. And I was like, now we cutting at her looks. I don't know if any work was done on any of the ladies. Not my business, not my place. But Mita was like, your character, Noor, is the issue. But Noor, again, she said, I have 2 degrees. I speak 3 different languages. I am educated. I'm not, ditzy as you want to think. And she basically was dressing them down quickly and well. She said, are they men? Are these really men? They gather together and don't want to spend on a woman. I was like, wow. Then she goes on, you're not men. Y'all are disgrace to men. And I was like, girl, you came back. Simo said, we're not just men, we're with 100 men. And I'm like, Simo, you need to pipe down, be quiet. Don't talk. Because you did your lady a complete injustice. So you are definitely not worth 100 men. But y'all, when they were going back and forth, because it was Simo, Shafiq, Mito, all of them going at Noor. All I'm going at Noor. The hostess says, time out. We don't engage in talks like this. We do not speak disrespectfully. If you have anything disrespectful to say, don't say it. So Noir said, thank you. She said, hey, it wasn't disrespectful. She always says things in a soft voice, but she did not mean to be disrespectful. And hostess said, they're all acting like they're siblings. They're all acting like they're just siblings, just catfighting with each other. So again, during the reunion, it was the 1 year anniversary for Safa and Muhammad, the only couple that remained married. And y'all, as I said, they are still married to this day. This is my favorite couple of all time. I gotta say, of all the couples married on Love is Blind, Safa and Muhammad are my favorite. And while, sometimes I talk about how boring some couples are on a Love is Blind or in another dating show, Safa and Muhammad definitely, they are, it wasn't boring per se, but it was slow and steady wins the race. It was no fighting, no ups and downs, no, scare tactics, no secrets. It was, they had challenges. They had real life challenges and they came through it. This is a few years later. So I'm wondering if she's still a project manager. I'm wondering if she's still traveling as much. But we certainly learned from them, hey, Muhammad had to be like, I don't want to interfere with your work, but your work is going to interfere in our marriage. How do we work on this? And we didn't get to see their conversations about this, which is fine. We don't need to be in all their business. But what we certainly learned was that they did talk about it and they did figure out a way to still remain married to this day. So while I talk about other people on other shows, this was a couple that I thoroughly enjoyed how they were discussing their marriage, even if it was off camera. What they shared on camera was enough, and I absolutely love them from the pods, absolutely until now. Yes, yay for Safa and Muhammad. I truly enjoyed their journey, truly enjoy all of their journeys because, again, we had people leave each other after the reveal to come back. We had folks, leave each other after they came back and the real life didn't mesh. We had one leave each other on the vacation. It was a lot of leaving on Love is Blind Habibi. We had only, how many made it to the altar? Safa Muhammad made it to the altar. Osman Hattab made it to the altar, and Dunia and Shafiq. Those were the only 3 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, out of the 6, only 3 made it to the altar. But again, Keeping in line with Love is Blind, in many instances, Love is Blind only has one couple married. Though Sweden, Love is Blind Sweden keep changing those analytics. We have three this past Sweden season that actually made it to the altar, and they decided to get married. Go figure. But I'm glad to see Safa and Muhammad are still married, are still together. Dunya and Shafiq, although they chose not to get married, they are still together to this day, and their families are still happy for them and happy they are together. So even though no marriage, it is still wonderful to see that this young couple is taking it in stride and living their life as they see fit. But y'all, that was Love is Blind Habibi. It was wonderful having you here with me. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Please make sure to hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. I have a tons of new viewers, but y'all aren't subscribing. And in order for this channel to grow and for others to enjoy this channel, we do need your participation in subscribing. I think I'll do Love is Blind Mexico next. Do a live about that because that had a very interesting wedding for one couple. And we had very interesting editing for Love is Blind Mexico. So my current subscribers have said that they want me to continue to do this noon on Sundays. So I think Love is Blind Mexico may be the next one. You're welcome, Debbie. I thoroughly enjoyed it too. And I'm hoping y'all leave it in the comments. I'm going to create a post, let everybody know. Until we get a new Love is Blind, I will come up with a topic every Sunday at noon, as long as my schedule allows for us to talk about something. And right now, we're going over some old Love is Blinds so we could all catch up and see what they're doing out there internationally. There's some that have some really, really interesting stuff. But I think, yes, Debbie's all for it. I have one vote for Love is Blind Mexico. Mexico was very interesting, y'all. I've got to say, the love triangles, the love squares, the I want your man was in full effect for Mexico. So if you did not see Mexico, I hope you'll take this week to watch it so I can do a live recap with you next week, Sunday. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Let's talk about it. We learned a lot about these cultures. And if you go back to my recaps, especially the episode 6, 7, 8, and the reunion, I delve a lot more into their food, into their dress for Love is Blind Habibi. And I learned a lot about their culture and a lot about their weddings. And it just resonated with me. But Mexico, we're going to get into it next week. So definitely, I may not be going to Mexico anytime soon. We have some travel restrictions, but I will definitely be going over Love is Blind in Mexico next week, Sunday. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.